I'm talking today about the power trio from Canada called Rush. It's a light-hearted affair on this channel's viewing thing from our normal stuff. You know, it's like light reading you might do. Sometimes you gotta just back off a little bit. It will not be all-inclusive. It will not go track by track through every album. I'm just trying to save you some time. If you ain't into this, you don't have to watch it. A lot of it's going to be, most of it's going to be my personal opinion and my personal experiences regarding the band Rush. All right, that out of the way. First thing I want to cover is the name Rush. That's got to be the coolest, or one of the coolest, band names ever. It's just awesome. Now, I've got to set up the background for this a little bit. Used to be in stores, well, and they kind of still do now, in the electronics department. They have these bins set up, and you see them now sometimes, like in the China Marts and whatnot. They have these, maybe a 4x4 bin set up on a pallet. Now they have like old DVDs and stuff in them for cheap. And they used to do that with music. Cassette tapes, generally. They just have them piled in there, and you just sort through and pick and choose. They were $4.96. Yes, I do remember the exact price. One of my older sisters, shout out to Juju, my favorite sister, she was looking for a certain song by Rush. She didn't know the title. She didn't know which album it was on. And we'll get to that in a second. It's a difficult thing with the band Rush. Be that as it may, she's looking for this certain song. She'll know it when she hears it, but she doesn't know the title. So she started buying these cassette tapes out of the bargain bin. I mean, they're $5, you know. She'd go through the whole tape, fast forward, stop, play. Nope, that ain't it. Fast forward, stop, play. You know how life was with cassette tapes. I actually kind of enjoy it. Anyway, so she'd buy a cassette, an album, if you will, and listen to all the songs. No, it wasn't on there, and she just kind of cast it aside. You know, I don't know if she went back and listened to them or not. She's doing this until I guess she found the song. I was 14, I think, at the time, 15 maybe. Well, I'm snooping through Sister's room here, and here on her little night table by the bed are these cassette tapes, you know, just kind of casually scattered about. I was just really starting to get into music, and I mean really starting to get into music. Before that, everything was sports in my life. My whole thing was sports, primarily football, baseball. I got the bug for music, big time. And so I stumble across, it's called Rush, Caress of Steel. Never heard of this outfit. I don't know, what are we talking about? And I started you didn't really unfold these bargain bin tapes, cassettes. A lot of them didn't have inlay cards and the things you'd get with a new album. I assume they did this to save money. I don't know. You might have a write-up. A lot of them were just blank on the inside. You had the cover of the album on the cassette, and that was it. Maybe a list of the songs that went in the little back window of a cassette. So I start this band I don't know nothing about. First of all, killer photo. And I remember thinking at the time, why isn't it like silvery, like steel? Why is it copper color? But whatever, still a cool picture. So I start looking through the song titles. Half of them I can't even pronounce. Or I don't know what they are. Bastille Day? Bastille Day? I don't know. Nothing about it. And I'm just, you know, kind of looking through Lakeside Park. That looks like kind of a cool name. I don't know. Like I said, some of them I couldn't pronounce. And then one I run across, it's called I Think I'm Going Bald. So I snatch up this cassette out of Sister's room. I got to hear this. What are we talking? Is he really talking about like losing his hair? I cue it up right to the start and hit play. Right off the hop, the musicianship just blew my skull off. I'd never heard anything like this. What is it? Then the guy starts singing. This super high, screaming falsetto. I'm like, what is it? I didn't even know what they look like. There was none of this in the cassette, you know. Like, what is it? So I got to ask a different older sister. I'm asking my mother, what is Bastille Day? My mom doesn't even know. Never heard of such thing. One of the oldest sisters, she's like, I think it was like the French Revolution or something. I don't know. we get down, you know, Lakeside Park, and I really dig that song. I mean, this marked me so much as a young person that I can recite I could probably recite all of it if I really thought about it. I won't bore you with that, but the part that just burned into me, I can still remember, and I have a terrible memory. Everyone would gather on the 24th of May, sitting in the sand to watch the fireworks display, dancing fires on the beach, singing songs together, and though it's just a memory, some memories last forever. I still love that. And I'm systematically going through. One of them was a drum solo. It was called like Didax and Narpitz, which is an anagram for addicts and parents. I don't know this, but I'm asking the sisters, you know, what's a didact? I don't know, never heard of it. It's not in the encyclopedia. It's not in the dictionary. It's just so weird. I still don't know what they look like. And then that so-called song was mostly just a drum solo, and they're just shouting out. It was so bizarre. And it laid a proper foundation for my experiences with Rush, especially at that time. There was no internet. You couldn't just, you know, what's this all about? Rush at this time that I stumble across them, this is like late 1980s. They weren't in the mainstream anymore. I mean, they were still a touring act and still putting out albums, but they weren't the big new hot thing. You know, they were a 70s act. So without internet, it was hard to come by this information. There were several albums I went through. I had no idea what they looked like even. Who's this guy singing? I got to get a look at this guy. Moreover, who's the guy drumming? Because I'd never heard drums played that way. The guitarist, who's probably the least of the role in the band, still outstanding, killer melodic solos. He can rip when he needs to, you know, and go fast. I didn't even know it was a three-piece. When I found that out, I was just like, how is this possible? It wasn't long after that. I'm in now. I've bought in. What is this Rush? Do they have any more albums? I mean, I'm completely clueless. And here on Juju's nightstand, A Farewell to Kings. Oh, let's listen to this one. Freaking blew me away. And for my money, tied in the #1 spot, only with Hemispheres, which we'll get to in a second, as Rush's best album. That's totally my opinion. Everybody has a different version. They got a huge catalog. But I'm just discovering this band. I still don't know what they look like. I'm just clueless. I'm not going in chronological order because I'm just getting them as I find them on the nightstand. Some of them never got returned. I may still have, I think I do, still have the original that I swiped cassette of Caress of Steel. And the playlist is not in order with what the album is. Odd deal. Anyway, the trouble with that is Rush is a really weird band. Their songs cover so many drastic topics. We're not really talking now about chasing girls and fast cars, although they have, I think, one song about, you know, collectors, but that's really not the focus of the song. Is way more broad than that. He had lyrics that just, who writes songs like these? And the songs themselves, you're not going to dance to these songs. Not that I was into dancing. But a lot of people, that's what makes the radio, is dance music, top 40 hits. Rush didn't have quote unquote hit songs for most of their career. It was just so weird. And then I go to school and I'm telling my buddy, it's like, you ever heard of this band Rush? Most of them had not. The ones that did were like, oh yeah, man, that's cool. They had some of the albums or whatever, but I mean, I'm in. I am so in. You know, when I first started getting into music, Kiss was a big thing. I'm like, I don't know, 12, 13. That's about the age you really need to be to indulge in Kiss. Everything was Kiss, Kiss, Kiss. Rush may have been my second band that I got to know everything. I just got to. And the information was so hard to come by. One of the older sisters found at a garage sale 2 long play albums, vinyl albums. Yeah, they were like $1 a piece, and she bought them for me. One of them was Kiss Alive 2, the live concert, and the other one was Rush, 2112. Now I get to see what they look like. And that made it even more weird. What kind of clothes are these that they're wearing? Who is who? They don't, who's singing? That's what I want to know, because that scream, and imagine doing that for 2 hours every night. They're just such a weird band. You're not going to tap your foot through the whole song because you might be changing meters 4 times or more. Their songs it's weird, but the musicianship is what got my attention. And then the more I delve into it and find out what some of this stuff means, what is he talking about here? What is the song actually about? There's more here. And I'm coming from Kiss World, where it's chicks, maybe some thunder, lightning, maybe more chicks, chasing girls, getting girls. That's their whole thing. And this is like mental rock here. A strange combination. Somewhere I may have bought this one myself. It was out of the bargain bin. I get Rush Hemispheres. Again, for my money, that's tied with this is the pinnacle now. You cannot top this. It just blew me away. Everything about it blew me away. It's hard to explain. I mean, this really marked my life of musicianship, and I never did attain that kind of musicianship, and I don't know anybody that did on their chosen instruments, whether it be drums or bass guitar or electric guitar. I never heard anything like this, especially out of a rock band. That's the thing. Maybe classical music. I mean, that's some really difficult stuff on guitar. Jazz music, I do not like, but it is difficult to play. Believe it or not, religious music has some challenging chords in it. Gospel music, whatever you want to call it. But this is a whole different animal. This is a rock band, or they called them prog rock, progressive rock. I don't even understand that title. But now I could put a face to this music, and I don't think I knew who played what, and I think I guessed right. It's like, well, that guy's got to be the drummer. I mean, just look at him. Look at that mustache. That guy looks so weird, Geddy Lee. He's got to be the singer, because why? Nobody else could sound like that out of these three. And how did 3 guys make that much noise, sound? I got some of the live albums, and it was basically like the studio albums. It was unbelievable. How could you possibly keep this? Was it enjoyable to play the concerts? How do you know where you're at in the song? You're changing meters, and I loved it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not criticizing it. I never heard anything like it. But you're not going to dance to it. It's not going to make the top 40. You're probably not going to see a video. You may not. They did start doing videos later on. They did hit a peak of popularity kind of in 1981, I think, or 80, I can't remember, with the band or with the album Moving Pictures. It's good. There was a time I was really into it. Now I don't like the song personally, Tom Sawyer. I don't get it. I don't get what the attraction was. Whatever the case, that was like the hit song that summer. They were kind of the in group that summer, is my understanding. I don't remember it. I mean, I was alive then, but I was young, probably 7 or something. I don't remember that. But they did, they're doing concert venues on their own as a headlining act, selling out arenas and, big time thing. Somewhere in there, I picked Permanent Waves up. I love that album, even though for my money it's a little short. There's only 6 songs. One of them's like 8,000 hours long. Jacob's Ladder, a song about a thunderstorm. How bizarre. And the parts of the music emulated, you could feel almost tangibly the build up to this thunderstorm, and then the storm itself, and then the breaking of the clouds, and the music changes, the whole thing. Who thinks of this kind of stuff? And they're like smoking hash and stuff. I mean, it's just, the whole thing with Rush is so weird. And I loved it. That was even more weird. And Rush is a love-or-hate band, I think. There's not too many people that are kind of like, oh, they're all right. I like some of their stuff. You either really dig them or you can't stand them. I can't listen to that guy sing. It's personal preference. I mean, I totally get it. 1982 hit. And with it came a big time change of pace for Rush. Now they'd already started their transition. There's only so much you can do with a certain, I mean, even like Metallica got to the Black Album, they kind of went more mainstream. Their whole thing changed. There's only so much you can do with a certain set of style of music, and Rush kind of hit that with their magnum opus, sidelong epic stuff. I love that stuff. I wish that would have continued to now. Of course it couldn't. And they changed in 82. They came out with Signals. A lot of keyboards, man. And I first heard that and I'm like, well, is this the same band? You could still hear the killer bass. The drum parts were there. All kinds of keyboards. Not really my thing. Now it has grown on me. I cannot stand the song subdivisions. Can't stand it. Never could. The rest of the album has grown on me quite a bit. But that was a real change for them. And then it's their Power Windows and Grace Under Pressure. Reverse that order. A little bit chronological. The songs were good. The production was horrific. Sounded really thin, I thought. All kinds of keyboards. And I just remember thinking, like, you're a power trio, man. You got 3 virtuosos. What are you dinking around on synthesizers for? But that's just me. I ain't in charge of the deal. They're doing their thing. When I saw a live concert, a show of hands, of them doing the songs off those keyboard type albums, the songs were good. I really liked them. It's just the production ruined a lot of that for me. They went all through the 80s. They went through most of the 90s. They were still putting out albums. I really liked the album Presto. The album was really good, I thought. And not great production. And people, I think a lot of people get lost in that. Well, their album sucked. Their song sucked after whatever, Moving Pictures. It was a definite change. But it was really the production that really sucked so bad. The songs were pretty good still, to my estimation. And we started getting, I mean, they got comfortable in life. They got some money. You run out of ideas. Even so, Rush, I mean, there's people that will swear like Clockwork Angels is their best album. To them, maybe it is. I mean, apparently. I gave up. The last thing I bought was Counterparts. I mean, it was great musicianship, but it was just like these series of chords, vocal melodies that didn't really grab me, and I'm just like, I think they're done. That's just me. I still went and saw them. I went and saw them live on the Test for Echo tour. Unbelievable performance. Unbelievable. Blew my mind. And by then I had experience playing music myself. I knew what was involved. And it just, to reproduce that kind of sound live. And again, I go back to, were the concerts enjoyable playing them? You'd have to be on top of your game every second of every song just to know where you're at. There ain't no cruising and checking out other things, while you're playing. You got to be paying attention. I don't know. They did it for all that time. The music never got simpler. So strange. Really bizarre. You can throw me your opinions and critiques and whatever of what was the best, what the memories. I associate music as like a soundtrack to my life. And Rush has they've got a massive foothold in there, man. That really marked me as a young person. I still enjoy breaking out the occasional Rush album from time to time. You got to be in the mood for it. But you can let me know in the comments. I do appreciate you watching. I thank you for your time. I'll see you next time.